The rising global population threatens food security, as the increased demand for food puts pressure on our agricultural resources and production systems. This increased demand intensifies problems like land degradation, water scarcity, climate change, and competition for arable land, making it harder to provide nutritious food for everyone, especially in areas already experiencing food insecurity. Focusing on innovative technologies and sustainable agricultural practices, these challenges can become valuable opportunities that can drive economic growth and technological advancement. Research for Development, or R4D, plays a pivotal role in addressing the challenge of food security. In the Philippines, an organization is emphasizing the transformative power of technology to drive the sector towards its optimal potential through Research for Development, or R4D. The Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural Research, or DA-BAR, supported by various executive orders and Republic Act 8435, also known as Agri-Fisheries Modernization Act, or AFMA. DA-BAR is mandated to ensure that all agricultural research is coordinated and undertaken for maximum utility to agriculture. DA-BAR coordinates, integrates, funds and manages the R4D system in the country to optimize its use for the sector. It is envisioned to be the lead R4D coordinating agency, promoting a technology-empowered agriculture and fisheries sector that contributes to inclusive growth. To ensure that research leads to desired results and long-term impact, DA-BAR follows the R4D Impact Pathway Framework. It assists DA-BAR in planning, monitoring, and evaluating the effectiveness of R4D projects under rice, corn and cassava, livestock and poultry, fisheries and aquaculture, organic agriculture, climate change, biotechnology, support to technology commercialization, agri-fisheries technology business incubation, and scale-up, thereby connecting research outputs to outcomes and societal impact, aligning efforts with industry goals, and generating meaningful, measurable change. It is DA-BAR's responsibility to ensure that suitable technologies and interventions are promptly accessible for the sector's utilization. However, DA-BAR cannot accomplish this alone. It needs capable partners in cascading these R4D outputs and outcomes that will advance technology-driven agriculture and fisheries sector. Collaboration is the backbone of research, and seamless integration of interdisciplinary expertise and resources is crucial for achieving common goals. By partnering with DA-BAR, we attain greater productivity in a cost-effective manner. Like the age-old adage, the sum is greater than its parts. Here at DA-BAR, we firmly believe that the power of collaboration has the potential to unleash a magnitude of possibilities beyond measure. We offer funding opportunities that can substantially improve the effectiveness and breadth of research endeavors. We facilitate networks and linkages to enhance opportunities to leverage expertise and resources. And more significantly, we serve as a hub for invaluable knowledge exchange, harnessing emerging and innovative technologies to tackle pressing sectoral challenges and global issues.
To the Department of Agriculture family, to our colleagues in the DA Bureau of Agricultural Research, sa ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda, isang magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ako po si Cristina S. Estrada from the Knowledge Management and Information Systems Division of the DA Bureau of Agricultural Research, and I will be your moderator for the seminar this June. In line with the celebration of the Soil Conservation Month organized by the DA Bureau of Soils and Water Management, its theme, Lupa, Pagkain, Seguridad, Buhay, we are going to talk about soil conservation today. Officially, the title of the seminar is Soil Health Management of Selected Rice-Growing Municipalities of Quezon Province, and it is an excerpt of the DA Bar funded project under the Scale Up program or the Sustainable Community-Based Action R4DE for Livelihood Enhancement, Upliftment, and Prosperity program. Before we introduce our speaker and formally start the knowledge sharing, yung usual reminders po natin. So one, please comment your location and affiliation para alam natin kung hanggang saan ang naabot ng ating serbisyo sa bar. Number 2, please follow our social media pages. So it's facebook.com/DEBarOfficial or isearch nyo lang po sa Facebook ang DE Bureau of Agricultural Research. At dahil po tinatanggal ni Meta ang live videos in 30 days and sayang naman ang mga napag-usapan natin kung hindi natin ma-revisit, please follow our YouTube account. It's Bureau of Agricultural Research or youtube.com/@DABarOfficial. So maliban sa seminar po natin today, we also have seminars for the past years and also research talks and other materials that you can access from our YouTube account. And number 3, we will be posting one form only. So it's the attendance and feedback sheet right before the lecture ends. So you have to answer it for certificates. And usually, pinopost po namin siya around the last 10 slides of the lecture. And number 4, and most importantly, ask questions sa ating expert kasi hindi sa lahat ng oras ay andito siya. Without further ado, we will be meeting our expert in a moment. Our resource speaker has extensive expertise in agricultural research, crop science, horticulture, farming systems, and technology transfer, gained through years of leadership and involvement in various agricultural programs, including engagement with the Food and Agriculture Organization. As a project leader of major DA Bar funded initiatives, including the Scale Up program and the Technology Business Incubation program of DA Calabarzon, he champions innovation-driven and community-centered approaches to agricultural development. His work focuses on enhancing farmer productivity, promoting agripreneurship, accelerating technology adoption, and strengthening sustainable livelihood opportunities for rural communities across the region. Through his leadership, he continues to advance research-based solutions that contribute to agricultural resilience, food security, and inclusive growth. A seasoned agricultural researcher and development practitioner currently serving as a senior science research specialist and OIC Center Chief of the DA Lipa Agricultural Research and Experiment Station under the DA Calabarzon, let's warmly welcome Dr. Dario M. Huelcas. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning, Tintin. Salamat sa napakaganda mong pagpapakilala.
Sige po, Doc, bigay ko na po sa inyo ang floor. Thank you po.
Okay, salamat. Good morning po sa ating lahat. And present my paper. Let me introduce to you yung aking office, the Lipa Agricultural Research and Experiment Station. LARES is one of the 4 research stations of DA RFO4 Calabarzon. With the priority commodities for R4D and production on rice, corn, cassava, mango, citrus, banana, coffee, and many more. We have facilities here, tissue cultured laboratory. We have FDA licensed to operate food processing facility. We have livestock and poultry facility and plant nurseries, production fields. We have also foundation groves for Carabao mango, coffee, and citrus. So yan po yung Lipa Agricultural Research and Experiment Station. So yung aking presentation is about soil health management of selected rice-growing municipalities in Quezon Province. Next slide po. So with the following objectives. So at the end of the presentation, participants will be able to understand the importance of soil health in rice production, identify major soil fertility constraints affecting rice farms in Quezon Province, learn science-based soil health management strategies, appreciate the impact of soil health interventions on yield and farmer income, and explore opportunities for scaling up sustainable soil management practices. So bakit po Quezon? Kasi Quezon po is prone to soil degradation because of the topography, sloping areas, aggravated by heavy rains. So, siyempre, pag may heavy rains, kakameron ng erosion, kakameron ng leaching, nakakameron ng nutrient washout, kaya nagiging prone sa soil degradation. Next slide po. So why soil health matters? Healthy soil is the foundation of sustainable rice production because it supports better nutrient availability, strong root development, improved water retention, enhanced biological activity, and higher crop productivity and profitability. So when soil health declines, crop performance, farm income, and long-term productivity are negatively affected. Next slide po. In Quezon Province, rice farming serves as a major livelihood for many rural households. However, many rice-growing areas face increasing soil fertility problems that limit productivity and threaten sustainability. So it is important to understand soil condition in order to develop appropriate management interventions and improve farmers' livelihood. Next slide po. Declining soil fertility, nutrient imbalances, nutrient deficiencies, soil acidity, low organic matter content, and unsustainable farming practices are the challenges encountered by fields in Quezon Province. This is due to continuous cultivation and excessive dependence on inorganic fertilizers without adequate soil management. So continuous cropping, especially if monocropping, excessive use of inorganic fertilizers without without the proper soil analysis, burning of crop residues, minimal organic matter return, and poor water management and erosion causes degradation, causes the soil to become poor. And the effect, soil degradation over time, loss of organic matter, nutrient depletion, soil acidity and imbalance, poor soil structure, and reduced soil biological activity, which will result to low soil productivity, reduced crop productivity, low yield, and eventually low income. So the project approach is assessing the soil. Next slide po. Assessing the soil for better decision making. So the project adopted a science-based approach through soil sampling, laboratory analysis, soil health mapping for recommendations on planting activities, development of soil health cards, site-specific recommendations, and also capability building and farmer training and technology demonstrations. So, paano ba natin ginawa yan? We assess the soil health by soil sampling, soil fertility analysis, geographic mapping of soil conditions, identification of major fertility constraints, and development of site-specific fertilizer recommendations. So this approach enabled precise and targeted soil management interventions. Next slide po. Soil testing provides accurate information on nutrient status and soil constraints. The end product, the end product of our soil testing is the soil health cards, where we develop this to make the reference more useful to the farmers. Understand their soil conditions, make informed fertilizer decisions, adopt site-specific nutrient management, and improve fertilizer use efficiency. So this is an example of soil grid sampling. We request shape file from the municipalities, and from that shape files, we established grids measuring 15 hectares in coverage area. And then in one grid, we extracted one soil sample depending on the types of crops, types of soils, topography, and some other criterias. In soil health assessment, we have a total of 3,020 farmers covered by soil sampling and soil fertility assessment. So this comprises 34.7% of the total 8,703 rice farmers in target areas. In the municipality of Tayabas City alone, we have 375 beneficiaries. In Pagbilao, we have 154 beneficiaries. Atimonan with 768 beneficiaries. Plaridel, 245. Lopez with 1,490, with a total of 3,020 individuals. So we gathered, kibalik po, we have gathered 907 samples covering 98 barangays with 3,872.36 hectares. So meron tayong 907 samples para makapag-formulate tayo ng soil health maps. Next po. So ito yung soil health maps na sinasabi. Ano po? This is in Plaridel, where we did grid sampling. So we can see that particular siya, specific siya doon sa Barangay Duhat, Barangay Concepcion, and we can see that there are different colors representing the different levels of soil fertility. The leftmost is the nitrogen content of the soil. The middle is the phosphorus, and the last one is the potassium. In the table and figure, may nakalagay naman doong range, yung description noong mga colors na nabanggit. So this is for Barangay Duhat, and the other one is for Barangay Concepcion. we can see here na merong mga recommendations for fertilizer application. Meaning to say na if hindi ka nakuha na ng soil samples and your farm is just near the color-coded maps or within the color-coded maps, pwede mong i-consider yung the recommendations based doon sa colors na kung saan tumapat ang iyong field. Next po. Ito naman po ay sa Pagbilao, Quezon, where we did a stratified sampling approach, not the grid lines. Next po. City of Tayabas, where we found out that there's a zinc deficiencies. Next po. So this is just a summary of the analysis of the 5 municipalities. pH, ang mean value ng 5 municipalities is 6.24. Interpretation niya is generally slightly acidic to neutral, and it is favorable for rice production. Well, anyway, pH is the rice production is not affected by pH, especially if in submerged condition. Ibig sabihin, mayroon siyang standing irrigation water, kahit pa mas medyo acidic siya, going pa rin sa neutral because of the state of being submerged. Organic matter, medyo mataas, 4.22, but there are areas na napakababa po ng organic matter, which can be seen in the soil fertility maps, soil health maps. Available phosphorus is 8.80 parts per million, generally deficient across most rice-growing areas. And available potassium is 0.49 C/mol/C per kilogram, moderate to adequate in most locations. And micronutrients, zinc, copper, iron, and manganese, variable. Sabi ko nga kanina, yung zinc deficiency is common in Tayabas, while copper, iron, and manganese are generally adequate. Next po. These are the major soil fertility constraints as reflected earlier. Sinasabi natin na ang phosphorus deficiency is evident in almost all of the areas in the selected municipalities of Quezon. With zinc deficiency having a moderate constraint and was observed in fields in Tayabas, and low organic matter localized constraints. Next po. So why are these findings matter? So since phosphorus is essential for root development, tillering, and grain formation, inadequate levels may limit crop growth and yield potential. Also, if zinc is deficient, zinc is important for plant growth and development, and deficiencies may result in poor seedlings and reduced tillering. Low organic matter can reduce nutrient retention, water holding capacity, biological activity, and ultimately affecting soil productivity. So, in some crops, like for example, vegetables, acidic soil may restricts the availability of some essential nutrients, and also not only the nutrients but also the actions, the activities of microorganisms. But in sabi ko nga kanina, but in rain-fed areas, in irrigated areas, acidity is not a major concerns. But a major concerns in upland areas where hindi siya submerged sa tubig. Next po. Implication to rice production, low phosphorus, low root development, reduced tillering, lower grain formation, low organic matter, reduced nutrient retention, lower water holding capacity, and reduced soil microbial activity. And zinc deficiency, weak seedling establishment, reduced tiller production, poor plant growth, and soil acidity, restrict nutrient availability, and lower fertilizer efficiency. Next slide po. So we have developed site-specific recommendations for soil health card. In this card, the farmer's profile is displayed on the first page. Andyan yung pangalan niya, andyan yung kung saan siya nakatira, asan yung kanyang field, ano po. And then yung date where the soil sampling activity was done. So, ginamit namin itong approach na to para personalize yung dating doon sa farmer. Meron siyang card, sarili niyang card, and the farmer may feel na kanya talaga yon. So, ibig sabihin, pag kanya talaga yon, mas may kagustuhan siyang gamitin yung rekomendasyon doon. And on the left side, right side pala, makikita doon yung first column, second column, yung critical levels noong different soil parameters, and then yung observations or the measurements, laboratory analysis, and the last column is the remarks, kung siya ba ay deficient, kung siya ba ay katamtaman lang. Sa lower left naman po, makikita dyan yung mga nutrient requirements ng identified crops. So, in this case po, hindi lang po rice ang kanyang nakatanim, marami pa pong ibang nakatanim dyan. And each crop have nutrient requirements. And makikita yan doon sa different columns. Sa ilalim naman po niya, different crops din identified, but then meron ng recommendations for application. First application and then second application. Ano po ba ang ating gagamitin for first application? Ano po ba ang gagamitin natin for second application? And then the last, the right lower portion, ito yung method of application, paraan po ng paglalagay. Unang aplikasyon, nakalagay dyan, paano po ba, siya po ba ay iuhukay, siya po ba ay broadcast, siya po ba ay side dress, So, andyan po yung mga pamamaraan. And then may note sa ilalim, merong rekomendasyon na gumamit tayo ng microbial inoculants para mabawasan natin ang paggamit ng inorganic fertilizer. Next slide po. So aside from soil health cards and soil health maps, nagbigay din po tayo ng trainings para maibahagi naman ng ating mga farmer leaders sa kapwa nila magsasaka yung mga pamamaraan upang mapanatili natin ang soil health status, ng ating taniman. We have conducted training on soil fertility management, understanding soil fertility constraints, balanced fertilization strategies, integrated nutrient management, and efficient fertilizer utilization. We have also conducted trainings on organic inputs production para yung dependency naman natin doon sa inorganic fertilizer ay mabawasan. tinuruan natin po sila na paggawa ng compost and utilization, vermicomposting, rice straw composting using trichoderma, and production of different organic concoctions. And then when we distributed the soil health cards, we helped them, we trained them, we discussed to them on how to use the soil health cards, how to interpret the soil health cards. So para mas maintindihan nila, mas magamit nila kung ano yung nilalaman noong soil health cards. Next po. So these are the photo documentations of making organic inputs, fermented plant juice, and then composting. Next po. Distribution of soil health cards, where farmers are teaching his co-farmers on how to interpret the soil health cards. Next po. Soil health management strategies, balanced fertilization strategy, supplying nutrients based on crop and soil needs. Balanced fertilization ensures that rice plants receive the right combination of nutrients in the correct amounts to support optimum growth and yield. With these key principles, apply nutrients based on soil test results, correct nutrient deficiencies identified through soil analysis, supply major, secondary, and micronutrients as needed, improve fertilizer use efficiency, and avoid over-application or under-application of fertilizer. When we do over-application, we are wasting money on over-fertilizer. Not only wasting money, but we are exposing the environment to toxic substances from the excess fertilizer application. Whereas kung under application naman, we are limiting the capacity of the plant to produce more yield. And when we do that, we will have a problem on shortage of produce. Next po. So ito yung mga in-employ ng project for soil health management. Since majority, almost all of the sites have low phosphorus, we recommend the use of natural phosphate and ammonium phosphate. And also for zinc deficiency areas, for zinc deficient areas, we recommend the application of zinc sulfate. For low organic matter, organic fertilizers and humic acid. For enhanced nutrient uptake, we introduce the application of foliar fertilizers and organic concoctions. Next po. So we also use the beneficial microorganisms like Azotobacter and Azospirillum. In acidic soils, we recommend the application of lime, especially in upland rice production and vegetable production. For pest management, we introduce wood vinegar application and organic matter enhancement using organic concoctions and organic fertilizers, and biological soil improvement using yung sinabi ko kanina mga microbial inoculants. Next po. We have 24 farmers field demonstration sites for rice. And we did regular field monitoring, and we have conducted Farmers Field Day para makita po ng iba nating mga farmers kung ano yung mga technologies na ating inintroduce. And then technology validation through crop cut activities and farmer interviews. So yung crop cut natin, ginagawa natin yan para ma-measure natin ano ba yung yield niya, and then we compute it on a hectare basis and compare it with the farmer's practice and baseline data. This ensured that recommendations were practically and locally applicable. Next po. So these are some of the activities, weighing of fertilizers based on what is written in their soil health cards, then monitoring, crop cutting, and then field days where we showcased the technology to other farmers. Community-based extension strategy, empowering farmers through participation. We have mobilized lead farmer technicians. We have these are farmer leaders who are helping, teaching, assisting their co-farmers in their farming activities. These lead farmer technicians are assisted by farmer facilitators, and we have received assistance also from the LGUs through their agricultural extension workers and farmer organizations. So these are the results of crop cutting activities. In Pagbilao, RC216, the baseline data from PRA is 3.3 tons per hectare. Farmers practice, nakakuha sila ng 7.21 tons per hectare. But in soil health management technology, yung pagsunod sa right fertilizer with soil rejuvenating, with soil health improvement techniques, we have 8.25 tons per hectare, or an increase of 14.42%. So this data suggests that across all the varieties, different varieties of rice, there's an increase in yield if we follow the soil health management technology introduced by the project. Next po. So this is just a representation of the figures before previous. Next po. Results and impact, productivity gains, average rice yield increased by 21.8%. This exceeded the project target of 15%. We have set the target of increased yield by 15%, but we have achieved 21.8%. Several demonstration sites even achieved yield increases of more than 30 to 60%. And the crop cutting activities still ongoing to secure more data, more yields, para mas maganda po yung ating data. Next po. So economic benefits. We can see here the average production cost under farmers practice, and then average production cost under soil health management technologies, the average income, and the average net income. So all of the municipalities have nakikita natin dito na lahat sila nag-increase ang average net income using by employing the soil health management technologies. Next po. Next po. So, what made the project successful? Because it is science-based soil assessment. It is site-specific recommendations. We have full participation of farmers, of our cooperating farmers. We have employed integrated nutrient management, community-based extension, farmer-to-farmer extensions, and continuous technical support with the monitoring of, regular monitoring of the project staff. Yes po, next po. So recommendations for farmer, regular conduct of soil testing, adopt balanced fertilization, incorporation of organic amendments. For LGUs, expand soil testing services, support soil health mapping, and strengthen extension programs. And for policymakers, invest in soil health initiatives, promote sustainable nutrient management, and scaling up of successful interventions. Maybe you have questions. I only have one more slide to show.
Doc, we can just facilitate the Q&A po after your presentation. So you may end your presentation na po ngayon, then let's facilitate the Q&A later.
Yes po, kasi po yung natitira kong slide, next po. Thank you na po.
So thank you so much, Doc Dario, for this interesting and comprehensive presentation on how we can improve our yield and income while ensuring sustainability through soil health management. Also, we would also like to congratulate Doc Dario kasi kahapon po they presented their paper. So the same discussion that we had, they presented it yesterday and it won the best paper in the research division in-house review kahapon. So before we proceed to our Q&A, please encourage po namin uli kayo na magtanong kayo ng questions kay Doc Dario. So anyway, I'll be checking the questions now po. Okay. So this one is from Sir Jimwell. Kailangan po bang ipa-soil test ang lupa sa highland? So for example, sa Tanay area daw na pagtataniman ng malunggay, ube at lakatan.
Yes, of course po. Kailangan po. Kailangan pong ma-test para po sa proper, sa appropriate fertilization program. Like for example, sa lakatan, malunggay, ube, they are deep-rooted na mga halaman. So, kailangan po na ma-analyze po yung topsoil and subsoil ng lupa. So, ang topsoil po ay hanggang 30 centimeters, ang lalim. Then, kailangan humukay ulit ng palalim para sa another 30 centimeters para sa subsoil. So, para makakuha po tayo ng status, nutrient status noong lupa natin pagtatamnan.
Thank you so much, Doc. So, hindi lang po pala enough na nalalaman natin kung ano yung parang components ng ng soil natin or kung ano yung nutrients na available, but also we have to consider din kung ano yung crop and yung root systems nila, kasi kung hanggang saan yung pinaka na-absorb nilang layer ng lupa or ng resources. So yun, that's new knowledge po for me. Thank you po, Doc. So anyway, we'll be proceeding to the next question. Ito po ay from our colleagues in the ABAR. So gaano daw po katagal yung validity ng soil analysis results?
May nagsasabi na hanggang 3 years, may nagsasabi na hanggang 5 years. But as a researcher, mas gusto kong every cropping natetest ang aking lupa. Kaya lang medyo magastos. Hindi naman din masyadong nababago immediately. Halimbawa yung organic matter, we may need 5 years para ma-improve natin or mabago yung organic matter. So I would say na every 5 years ay kailangan nating mapasuri ang lupa. So sa impact sa assessment natin, halimbawa kung na-rejuvenate ba natin ang lupa, kung napaganda ba natin ang lupa, we have to go back after 5 years, analyze the soil, tingnan natin ano ba nangyari sa organic matter, ano ba nangyari sa pH, ano ba ang nangyari sa iba pang mga parameters, gumanda ba o hindi after 5 years.
So ito po, Doc, na 5 years na to ay ano na to, parang middle ground na to ng accuracy, practicality, and cost effectivity ng pagpapa-soil test, diba?
Yes.
Okay po. Thank you, Doc. So, ito po, magandang question po to, and I think madaming tao yung nagtatanong nito. Also from our colleagues in the ABAR, why is there a need for soil analysis kung pwede naman maglagay ng abono if deficiency symptoms appear?
Pag nagpakita na ng deficiency symptoms, ibig sabihin huli ka na. Kung maglagay ka man ng remediating inputs, huli na damage is done. Kaya siya nagpalabas ng deficiency symptoms, kaya meron ng paninilaw, maapekto na sa kanya. And even kapag hindi siya nagpakita ng sintomas na siya ay may kakulangan na, may sinasabi tayong hidden hunger. Na berdeng-berde pa siya, pero yun pala, nasa boundary na siya, borderline na, nang siya ay gutom na, hindi lang niya na ipapakita pa. So, pag ano na nangyari, any other inputs na ilagay mo, huli na rin, kung makarecover man, yung kanyang potential to produce more ay nabawasan na.
Okay, so sabi nga nila, prevention is better than cure. And base naman sa experience natin sa COVID-19, kasi halos lahat tayo affected, hindi lahat ng tao ay may symptom. So, that's also the case in our plants. Hindi lahat may symptom. And minsan pag may symptom, we don't know how late it is na. So, prevention is better than cure. So, better get your soil analysis tests na po. Okay, so this one is, eto po, since nabanggit nyo na din naman yung mga indicators. So, follow up po. So, without soil analysis, ano daw po ang mga indicators na healthy ang lupa?
Physical appearance, dapat siya ay buhagag, dapat siya ay dark colored, and then may makikita kang mga nabubuhay, So halimbawa may earthworms, may crickets, may moles, So iyon po yung mga pamamaraan upang masabi nating healthy pa yung lupa.
It's also good po, Doc, na you also mentioned na yung other organisms kasi part of, so this, etong diniscuss natin today is part of the Scale Up program by the ABAR, and in Scale Up, one of the component, in this program, isa sa mga part ng ini-implement ni na Doc Dario in Region 4A ay the Integrated Pest and Management, IPM. So, IPM. So, hindi lahat ng mga uod ay bad, hindi lahat ng insekto ay masama. So, this is one of the ways how we try to ensure that it is sustainable for everyone. Just doing what's necessary at the right time with the right amount. And yun, para hindi siya harmful sa lupa.
Yes po.
Okay. And okay, so Doc, this would be the last question from our audience. So ito po. Considering the target areas were coastal areas, how do you recommend management practices for rice production? So, ito pong question na to ay very relevant kasi puro tayo rice and at the same time, puro tayo coastal din. So, maganda din pong masagot mo ito, Doc.
We have experienced similar situation in Barangay Pansol in Lopez, Quezon, where the result of analysis suggests that the area ay napapasok ng saltwater. So there's a saltwater intrusion. Ano? So we concluded na salin yung lupa, and we have recommended the use of salin varieties. Ano? So nung gumamit sila nung salin varieties of rice, gumanda yung kanilang ani. Not long before na hindi halos sila umaani because maalat nga po yung lupa, pinasok na po ng tubig alat sa lupa. So doon papasok ang kahalagahan ng soil analysis. Kahit pa ikaw ay near coastal areas, kahit pa ikaw ay nasa plain, nasa taas ka, nasa bundok ka, it's really important to know your soil para pag nakilala mo ng lupa mo, malalaman mo na kung ano yung mga strategies na pwede mong gawin upang mapaganda ang iyong halaman. Not only on fertilizers, tulad nga nasabi ko kanina, since napapasok na siya ng tubig alat, nagkakamerong ng saltwater intrusion, mas gumanda na yung kanilang rice production using salinas varieties of palay. And nag-iipon sila nung seeds para sa susunod na kanilang planting season.
Okay, thank you, Doc. So, it's good na na-mention mo po na important yung, kasi most of the time when people hear about soil analysis, parang ang immediate na naiisip nila ay fertilizer, ay pataba, di ba? Pero it's good na na-mention mo po na parang because of the soil health analysis, you were able to quote-unquote prescribe better rice varieties suitable for the land. So, yun po. Okay, so Doc, ito po, may nagpahabol na question. So this is from Sir Chris Jury ba? So may sa mga soil test analysis na ginawa nyo, may na-encounter na po ba kayong merong heavy metal contamination? And kung meron daw po, ano po yung management practices or interventions na ginawa nyo para mabawasan ang epekto sa rice production and soil health?
The good thing is wala naman po tayong na-encounter ng mga heavy metals. But should there be heavy metals, hindi kasi siya magandang magamit for rice productions simply because pupunta siya sa grains, iluluto natin siya, makakain siya ng tao. There are mga remediation techniques na ginagawa sa mga heavy metal contaminated areas, and some of which ay yung paggamit din ng kapuahan niya halaman. So magtatanim tayo doon ng I just forgot the name of the plant, pero they can absorb the heavy metal contaminants doon sa areas, and then pag as nagtatanim tayo, nababawasan ang heavy contaminants, yung heavy metal contaminants. But then again, hindi natin pwedeng i-consume yung ating nailagay doon, na itanim doon, simply because pag na-consume natin yun, na-consume tayo ng heavy metals. So, ewan ko, siguro for industrial purposes, pwede natin magamit yung mga halaman na yon, but for food, hindi po magandang idea ng So it's not suited for rice production po.
Okay, so that's noted po, Doc. So, it's a good thing na sa mga sites nyo ay walang heavy metal contamination. And yun nga, bumabalik po tayo lagi sa soil health analysis kasi malalaman lang naman natin yun kung may contamination if there's soil health analysis. And after that, we can, as you said, prescribe na, okay, magtanim tayo ng gantong plant so that it can absorb or rejuvenate or parang mabawasan yung contamination until such time that we can actually plant crops for consumption sa areas na yon. Ito po may nagtanong po ulit, pero short question lang naman po. Saan daw po pwede magpa-soil analysis? Yung may exact amount ng NPK and how much? And also, Doc, I think siguro damay mo na po din po dito yung about micronutrients. So, you may want to talk to them more about micronutrients, not just NPK.
Pwede dito sa Region 4A, sa DA, meron kami ditong Regional Soils Lab headed by Miss Nora Talain. They do analysis on physical, chemical, and ngayon meron na silang added parameters yung biological parameters, no, so where they can measure the microbial activity of the soil, no. Ang fee parang sa routine analysis na NPK pH, kung hindi po sila nagtataas pa, ay nasa 800 pesos. 800, that would include nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, pH, and texture. And then kapag complete analysis naman, with the inclusion of micronutrients, nasa 2,300 po dati. Iba ko lang po ngayon, di pa ako updated sa presyo. Pero yun po yung range, yun po yung costing mga 2 years po. So, meron din naman po sa laboratory sa Quezon City, BSWM, nag-a-analyze din po sila. Sa UPLB, meron din po. And then, sa Fertilizer and Pesticide Authority, alam ko po, meron din silang laboratory for doing analysis. But more on fertilizer po ang kanilang analysis FPA.
Doc, follow-up ko pa. This would be my personal question. So, just maybe short answer lang po. Why is it important to not just focus on the macro elements but also micro elements? Kasi hindi po masyadong kilala yung micro elements in the country, but us in scale up, pinopromote natin yung use of micronutrients. So, why is it important po to know and to put this micronutrients in our crops?
Kaya siya sinabing micronutrients, isa kasama siya doon sa essential nutrients kasi even doon sa small amount na kailangan ng halaman, in their absence ay hindi makukumpleto yung growth, hindi makukumpleto yung normal life cycle ng halaman. Like for example, zinc, mahalaga siya. In absence of that, hindi maganda ang tillering, hindi maganda ang kanyang seedling emergence, So, ayun po, hindi lang po nabibigyan ng halaga kasi kailangan siya ng halaman ng napakaliit lang na amount. Not unlike halimbawa po yung nitrogen in the form of urea, kailangan talaga isang dakot, sasabog natin sa palay, Itong zinc, itong copper, itong iron, itong manganese, ito pong calcium, konting-kunti lang po ang kailangan niya na akala natin ay hindi naman siya mahalaga. Pero yung konting yun po yung kung wala sa lupa, ay wala sa environment, ay may hirapan po ang halaman to normally for normal growth and development.
Okay. So basically, yung small amount na yan ang difference ng good crop and better crop.
Yes po.
Okay. Sige, Doc, thank you po.
Ito po yung updated schedule of fees ng Regional Soils Lab. Ganun pa din, ano, so 2,300 ang complete analysis. Ang routine analysis ay 750 pesos per sample.
Okay. So, thank you, Doc. Nag-ano pa talaga kayo, nagpa-follow up po kayo ng cost. So, pwede naman pong i-comment nyo lang yan sa link na sa live, sa Facebook live natin para mas maalala ng ating audience. And at the same time, sa ating mga audience po, please ano na po kayo, magpa-soil analysis na po kayo. If, you can inquire with your regional DA offices po. So, regional field offices nyo. Kung may BSWM malapit sa inyo or may FTA po sa inyo, you can consult them on this. So, anyway. So, we'll be on to our last two questions po, Doc. So, ano po yung advice or word of wisdom mo to the researchers in the agri-fishery sector?
Kailangan nating ma-improve, ma-rejuvenate, mapaganda, mabigyan ng buhay yung ating lupa because yung healthy soil would produce healthy crops. Na po. At pag patay na ang lupa natin, pag abuse na yung lupa natin, hindi po siya makakapagbigay ng yield na kailangan for the problem on food security. Ano po? So mahalaga po ang papel ng lupa, ng healthy soils sa food security na goal ng ating departamento.
Thank you po, Doc. So, yun nga, personally, ang dami kong nababasa na, parang technologies on plants, on this, but then, ang konti po so far, ang konti ng mga publicly accessible knowledge about the importance of soil. So, yun po yung personal na experience ko dyan. Parang it's easy for us to say na pangalagaan ang lupa, ganto, ganyan. But then, how do we actually do it? So we have to start with soil health analysis to ensure na kung ano ba talaga yung state at yung proper interventions ng ating lupa to better take care of it. So kumbaga, kung sa kalusugan ng mga tao, we are talking about going to the hospital, getting to the laboratories, and getting checked kung ano ba yung problems or what we can improve on sa ating katawan. So I hope ma-take natin yung ganyang mindset sa ating lupa as well. And last question, Doc, ano po yung message nyo sa ating mga magsasaka?
Alam naman nila yung kanilang mga dapat gawin, ano. Kaya nga lang kailangan nating sumunod kung ano ba talaga yung tama. No, pag sinabi natin wag nating susunugin ang dayami, alam niyo kung bakit hindi natin kailangan sunugin ang dayami. But then marami pa rin sa atin ang nagsasaya ng resources. Naturunan namin kayo ng paano paggawa ng compost, paano gamitin ng effectively yung byproducts ng ating sakahan. So sana ating isagawa po. Meron namang mga pamamaraan para magamit natin ng maayos yung ating mga dayami para na rin po sa ikakaganda ng ating lupa. Ano po? Pwede naman siyang ihalo na lang sa ating lupa, i-incorporate sa lupa para sa susunod na taniman. Magamit naman po ng lupa yung mga sustansyang natitira pa sa ating mga dayami or mga byproducts of farming. Ano po? So, pagyamanin po natin ang lupa dahil ang lupa po natin ay hindi lang basta lupa, yan po yung ating pinagkukuhanan ng ikabubuhay. Yan po yung ating future. Ano po, pag nasira po ang lupa natin, ano po pa ang ating pagkukuhanan? Saan po ba kukuha pa ng sustansya ang ating mga halamang ating binabalak na itanim sa ating lupa? Yun lang po, maraming po salamat.
Thank you po, Doc. Sobrang malaman po ng sinasabi nyo. Kasi as po ngayon, parang with all the commercially available or ang dami nating shortcuts na pwedeng gawin. So, pwede, halimbawa yung example mo, pwede nating sunugin. Sana hindi, pero ang dali sunugin ng dayami. But then, in scale up, so yung scale up po ay ito yung program na kinabibilangan nitong present ni Doc Dario. Halimbawa, yung dayami pwede pa yun magamit as fertilizer, pwede pang pakain for livestock, pwede pa siyang maging parang substrate for mushroom cultivation. So, ang dami pa po nating pwedeng gawin na sustainable on this. And if we are actually going to practice the things na tinuro sa atin ng ating mga agriculturists in DA and our scientist researchers, and tsagaan lang po natin, it's for our future naman po. So it's not just for your immediate nakita, but it's for the next generations. Kasi tayo din po at yung mga descendants natin ang kawawa if we are going to take shortcuts at this point. So thank you po so much, Doc Dario, for generously sharing your expertise and passion to the public. And congratulations po uli sa yung best paper nyo kahapon sa in-house review nyo in the research division in 4A. So yun po, we'll be sending you a certificate. So madalas naman po ata kayong pumunta dito. So ito po yung certificate namin and we'll just find a way to send it to you. So here, and I'll be reading the citation. The DA Bureau of Agricultural Research awards this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Dario M. Huelgas for sharing his invaluable knowledge during the DA Bar Online Seminar Series, Soil Health Management of Selected Rice-Growing Municipalities of Quezon Province, held on the 25th June of 2026 via StreamYard and DA Bar Facebook page, given this 25th day of June 26 in Diliman, Quezon City, signed by DA Bar Director Dr. Cecilia N. Gascon. And this concludes our online seminar, Soil Health Management of Selected Rice-Growing Municipalities of Quezon Province. And this seminar is a part of our Soil Conservation Month that's spearheaded by DABSWM, so DA Bureau of Soils and Water Management. Muli, maraming salamat po, Doc Dario, and we are looking forward to this nationwide adoption of soil health management practices to improve our yield, increase our income, and make sure everything is sustainable for us and for the future. And yun, reminders po, we already posted the attendance sheet kanina and you can answer the attendance and feedback form. It's just one form up until 11:45. And if you have questions on the seminar, please message our social media pages. So with Doc Dario, so he's affiliated with DA Calabarzon. So you can just search DA Calabarzon or facebook.com/DA for Calabarzon or the Scale Up Calabarzon. So, yung Scale Up po na project nila in 4A, they have their own page na po. So, it's Scale Up Calabarzon or facebook.com/yamanglupa Scale Up or message lang po yung DA Bar para ma-forward namin sa kanila yung questions nyo. Again, facebook.com/DA Bar Official or i-search nyo lang ang DA Bureau of Agricultural Research and please follow nyo po ang aming YouTube account para ma-check nyo yung past episodes. So, if you missed something today, if you want to check the seminar episodes na past years, andun po yun lahat. So again, thank you po, Doc Dario, and salamat po sa ating participants for actively participating in our knowledge exchange today. Doc, may gusto ka po bang pasalamatan, sabihin, i-plug, or i-acknowledge?
Yun lang, mga co-proponents ko, mga component leaders, sina Ma'am Daisy, sina Sir Rafi, si Ma'am Nora, si Ma'am Joy, si mga project staff, sina Syra, Edsel, Maki, si Jennifer, and then si Kathleen, mga kasama natin, sila yung mga nasa likod nung programa ng Scale Up dito sa Region 4A. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you po, Doc. And palakpakan at pusuan po natin si Doc Dario. Dito po nagtatapos ang ating free online seminar for today. Ako po si Tin at isang mapagpalang umaga sa ating lahat. Kita-kita po tayo sa sunod na seminar at sa mga susunod pa. Maraming salamat po.
The rising global population threatens food security, as the increased demand for food puts pressure on our agricultural resources and production systems. This increased demand intensifies problems like land degradation, water scarcity, climate change, and competition for arable land, making it harder to provide nutritious food for everyone, especially in areas already experiencing food insecurity. Focusing on innovative technologies and sustainable agricultural practices, these challenges can become valuable opportunities that can drive economic growth and technological advancement. Research for Development, or R4D, plays a pivotal role in addressing the challenge of food security. In the Philippines, an organization is emphasizing the transformative power of technology to drive the sector towards its optimal potential through Research for Development, or R4D. The Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Agricultural Research, or DA-BAR, supported by various executive orders and Republic Act 8435, also known as Agri-Fisheries Modernization Act, or AFMA. DA-BAR is mandated to ensure that all agricultural research is coordinated and undertaken for maximum utility to agriculture. DA-BAR coordinates, integrates, funds and manages the R4D system in the country to optimize its use for the sector. It is envisioned to be the lead R4D coordinating agency, promoting a technology-empowered agriculture and fisheries sector that contributes to inclusive growth. To ensure that research leads to desired results and long-term impacts, DA-BAR follows the R4D Impact Pathway Framework. It assists DA-BAR in planning, monitoring, and evaluating the effectiveness of R4D projects under rice, corn and cassava, livestock and poultry, fisheries and aquaculture, organic agriculture, climate change, biotechnology, support to technology commercialization, agri-fisheries technology business incubation, and scale-up, thereby connecting research outputs to outcomes and societal impact, aligning efforts with industry goals, and generating meaningful, measurable change. It is DA-BAR's responsibility to ensure that suitable technologies and interventions are promptly accessible for the sector's utilization. However, DA-BAR cannot accomplish this alone. It needs capable partners in cascading these R4D outputs and outcomes that will advance technology-driven agriculture and fishery sector. Collaboration is the backbone of research, and seamless integration of interdisciplinary expertise and resources is crucial for achieving common goals. By partnering with DA-BAR, we attain greater productivity in a cost-effective manner. Like the age-old adage, the sum is greater than its parts. Here at DA-BAR, we firmly believe that the power of collaboration has the potential to unleash a magnitude of possibilities beyond measure. We offer funding opportunities that can substantially improve the effectiveness and breadth of research endeavors. We facilitate networks and linkages to enhance opportunities to leverage expertise and resources. And more significantly, we serve as a hub for invaluable knowledge exchange, harnessing emerging and innovative technologies to tackle pressing sectoral challenges and global issues.